regardless of what they believed. If we look at the salah, which has been prescribed 5 times a day, when Allah tells us, aqim as-salah, establish the prayer. He didn't just say, sallu. He said, aqim as-salah, establish the prayer. In many parts of the Muslim world today, it is common amongst Muslims to pray on Friday. They just pray once a week. Like Christians praying on Sunday, you have Friday Muslims. Or you have some Muslims, they don't pray all year. They only pray in Ramadan. You'll see them, Ramadan Muslims. 11 months of the year they're disbelievers, but that 1 month in Ramadan they are the most sincere of believers. You'll see them praying all their prayers, staying up late at night in tahajjud, the night prayers, tarawih. But the rest, as soon as Eid comes, after Eid, finished. They're back to the regular program. What kind of Islam is this? This is what the salah has become. You have people, for example, in the month of fasting, Laylatul Qadr is the day of focus. People, maybe who don't pray all year long, maybe they don't even pray during Ramadan except for Laylatul Qadr. Now they're waiting for Laylatul Qadr, right? The night of power. Right? The 27th, this has been designated, even though in fact we don't know what day it is. But it's been commonly accepted to be the 27th. So they're waiting, the 27th of Ramadan. They have already taken out their calculators, right? Because Allah says in the Quran, Laylatul Qadri khayrun min alfi shahr. It is better than 1,000 months of worship. So they put it in their calculator. 1,000 divided by 12. This is 83 years and 4 months. 83 years and 4 months. Who lives to be 83? If I catch Laylatul Qadr, that's enough. Just need to catch it one time and forget about prayer after that. So we have mathematical Muslims now. And when they come to Hajj, it's the same thing. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said 1 prayer in Mecca is worth 100,000 prayers elsewhere. So they take out the calculators again and they're working it out. We make so many prayers in Mecca, finish. After that, no need for prayer. We've covered it. Zakah, we find Muslims putting their monies in banks, collecting interest and then giving the interest as zakah. This is their zakah. And when we look at the pillars of Iman, as Ibn Arabi said, no need to pray to anyone outside yourself. Pray to yourself. You're Allah. Everybody's Allah. If Allah is inside of you, for sure you're going to paradise. Don't worry about hell or anything like this. You're alright. The angels and the jinn, people call on the jinn to protect them. They become objects of worship. As the Christians took the angels as objects of worship, they have a thing called Michael Mass. This is worship of the angel Michael. Muslims, you will find developing these amulets, and on the amulets they will have markings and symbols, etc., which call on powerful jinns to protect them from evil and all this kind of things. The books, the Quran, it's an amulet. People don't read the Quran, but they will have pieces of it rolled up in things and worn around their necks, on their arms, hanging on the walls, on chains, protecting them. The prophets, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, is part of the faith, believing in him, that he was the last of the messenger. He has become an object of worship also. I have a whole body of Muslims that pray to Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. Though he told us in no uncertain terms, لا تطروني كما أطرتت النصارى ابن مريم. Don't be excessive in your praise of me as the Christians were with the son of Mary. فإنما أنا عبد. I'm only a slave of Allah. فقولوا عبد الله. So say, the slave of Allah, ورسوله, and his messenger. And Allah tells Prophet Muhammad ﷺ to say to the people, to prevent this kind of thing from taking place, قُلْ إِنَّمَا أَنَا بَشَرٌ مِثْلُكُمْ يُوحَى إِلَيَّ أَنَّمَا إِلَهُكُمْ إِلَهٌ وَاحِدٌ. Say, O Muhammad, to the people, I am only a man like you. The difference being that I received revelation that Allah is one God, that your Lord is one God. But people have taken the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ as an object of worship. People pray to him and call on him. And with regards to the resurrection, belief in the resurrection and the judgment, which we'll look at in more detail in the next lecture, people believe intercession is arbitrary. That as long as they are Muslims, Allah will have Prophet Muhammad ﷺ intercede for them and they were going to go to paradise. Finish. Muslims are guaranteed paradise. As long as you're a Muslim, you're going to paradise. This is the general feeling and the general understanding that people have. Though Prophet Muhammad ﷺ gave us so much information to confirm to us that only the true believers will enter paradise. And in terms of qadar, believing in predestination, it is generally rejected by much of Muslims. Rejected in one way or another. Either that they deny that it exists, that we just have free will, Allah doesn't have any influence over our actions, or they go to the other extreme and they blame everything on Allah. Whatever is the situation, it's what Allah willed. You know, I'm a criminal, I'm fornicating, I'm drinking, this is what Allah willed. This is Allah's destiny. You know, don't blame me. So, when we look at all of the basic pillars of Islam, and we see this type of deviation, and we reflect back on that prayer that we make daily, we can see, in fact, that Muslims have fallen into the trap which Satan set for the Jews and the Christians. Those who know something of the book are not applying it, modifying it to suit their wills. Those who are ignorant remain in ignorance. They prefer to follow the traditions. And instead of worshipping Allah, they end up worshipping other than Allah or worshipping others along with Allah. This is the state of the ummah today. Bid'ah, innovation, is the major problem which affects us. It affects us through the adoption of pre-Islamic cultures, practices. We find, for example, in places like India, people will get married wearing red dresses. This is the standard wedding dress. Red. Now, technically speaking, from an Islamic perspective, there's nothing wrong with the color red. I mean, if the woman is properly covered, etc., nothing wrong with the color red in and of itself. However, when you observe what is going on in India, you realize that it is the color of the wedding dress of the Hindus. This is their standard wedding gown, red. And in fact, Muslims are utilizing this same religious outfit in their practices today. We find also, for example, in the Philippines, I was surprised to find there flags on poles hanging outside of people's homes when I traveled in Mindanao. I would pass by homes, sometimes I would see these poles with flags on them. Now I knew in India, this is a practice in India, cultural practice, which has to do with indicating death and this type of thing. And I asked the people, what is this? What does this mean? Is this some kind of thing they're using for celebration or what? They said, no. When a person dies, we put up these poles. And this is practiced right across the country. It is a Hindu practice, which is an integral part now of Muslim practices. And wherever we go in the Muslim world, whether it's Albania or it's Turkey or wherever, you will find practices which have been inherited and are commonly a part of the people's practice today. But, as I said, the issue of innovation in the religion is perhaps the most critical area for us to have a good understanding of, because of the fact that it has been made to seem okay, justified by people, under the heading of what they call bid'ah hasana, the good bid'ah. Bid'ah in Arabic, literally it means an innovation or novelty. But from an Islamic perspective, it represents a heretical innovation in the religion, a change which has taken place in the religion which is heretical. Because Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, "Kullu bid'atin dalala." All innovation in the religion is misguidance. And this issue of innovation is specific to innovation in the religion. Because some people will come back and say, well, innovation, we have air conditioners today, there weren't any before. And we put them in the mosque. We have rugs on the floor of the mosque. We sit at tables, we have beds. All these different things which weren't around then. These are innovations. But this is not included. This is what we're speaking of. Innovation, technological innovations, nothing wrong with them. What we're talking about is innovation in the practices of Islam themselves. And the innovation may be an actual innovation, meaning that it is something which has no origin in the religion, like that of the red dress of the Pakistani and Indian Muslims who marry. In Sri Lanka, they have a thing called a tali, which is in marriage, they wear this, a chain with a little symbol on it, which is a Hindu symbol, which they give to the bride when she's getting married. Or they may be circumstantial innovations. That is, there is some origin in the religion for this practice, but it is being done outside of the place that it was prescribed. For example, in worship, we know we can raise our hands in prayer. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ spoke about it. Allah would feel shy. If he were to feel shy, he would feel shy that if a believer raised his hands, that he would put his hands down empty in prayer, if he raised his hands in prayer. And during the prayer of Eid, the prayer of rain, etc., he raised his hands in prayer. It is described that way. However, it has become a common practice now for many Muslims. After every congregational prayer, the Imam will turn and they make another prayer, supplication. The Imam supplicates and everybody recites after him, Ameen, Ameen, Ameen. Which has no foundation in the practice of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. He didn't do this. If a person did it spontaneously on an occasion for himself, there is no harm. But when it becomes an established practice, which is done regularly, then it becomes an innovation. Where people feel the prayer is not complete without it. For example, also you have from Egypt, common practice in Egypt, is after the prayer, the person will give salams, shake the hands of people on his right, then he'll go over and shake the hands on the people on his left. Salaam alaikum, salam alaikum. Now, if a person after prayer gave salam alaikum to the people next to him, he hadn't seen them for some time or whatever, and he did this, no harm. But there it has become a ritual. So much so that if one doesn't give these salams, people are looking at this person strangely, his prayer isn't really complete, they're looking at it as being almost a part of the prayer itself. So this has become an innovation. Though the giving of salams, shaking hands is a part of the religion, but making it a fixed practice after every congregational prayer, this becomes innovation. Or Sadaqallahu al-Azim. Now this is a statement in and of itself, a beautiful statement. Sadaqallahu al-Azim. Allah, the greatest, has spoken the truth. So if one recited a verse from the Quran and he said Sadaqallahu al-Azim, no problem. What Allah said here is